So today's lesson's pretty important to share. I think a lot of times as the student, whether it's as an athlete and a coach or a student and a teacher, it's always a student and a teacher. And sometimes it might even be like a mentor or maybe an older teammate, older classmate or something along those lines. And it can be sometimes younger, but for the most part, when we have a coach or a teacher and a student, you often think as the student that the teacher is they're gonna know what you need all the time. They're gonna be able to anticipate what you will have for struggles and obstacles. And I shared something earlier that was, hey, listen, the greatest teachers and coaches understand that every student is unique and they have their own circumstances and their own, where they're coming from on things. And that's true. The piece of it though that is important and it's difficult to recognize as a student usually until you get older, which is there's also the component where you need to be what I say is proactively coachable or proactively teachable. And that is where you let the coach know what your challenges are. You let the teacher know what you're having a hard time with and where you're coming from. And give them an opportunity to understand where they can help you. And yes, it's kind of vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there a little bit as the student because I suppose they could say, oh, this person's weaker, they're not going to do as well academically, or if it's a sport, they're not going to do as well athletically. That's not usually the case though. Teachers and coaches want to be able to teach and coach. That's why they're in that business. That's why they're there. And so when you ask them for help, that presupposes that they can help you, which will also give them a little bit, not that they need the confidence or the boost, but they'll understand that you recognize that they can help you. That recognition is an appreciation, it's gratitude, it's respect, it's being thankful for the fact that they can help you. Once that happens, an incredible thing usually gets set in motion, which is where the teacher and the coach become a better teacher and coach in general, but also specifically for you, for the student. So if there's one thing that I can tell you is, as a coach, as a teacher, as a parent, I get better when the students, regardless of their challenges, regardless of like how gifted or not gifted they are, if that's something that you want to think about, or talented, or just naturally skilled at something, that doesn't matter as much. If the person's willing to show up and work, and if they're honest about where they are and they ask me for help, man, that's a situation where I'm going to learn a lot. I've almost learned more as a teacher and as a coach than I have as a student, because you're really still a student. And if you have a student that's active, especially if they're proactive, and they're seeking your coaching, your teaching, and your mentoring, your parenting, you feel good because you can help them because they've said you can help them. You set the table that way, and there's a much better working relationship. If the person feels like as a coach, if I feel like the person feels like I have nothing to offer, well then I move on. I don't move on entirely, but I don't spend as much time with that person if I feel like they're not ready to receive the coaching or teaching. And so this is a difficult one for people to recognize, and this is a lot of what the law of attraction talks about, is the fact that where there is a perceived need, that's where energy is going to flow. And so, and not from a lack, from an appreciation in that area. So there's an appreciation for something, and so that's what gets attracted there. It says that if you're trying to get your teacher and your coach to lean into you as a student or as an athlete a little more, ask them for help and be specific. The more specific, the better. And let them know where you're coming from. And if there's a particular way that you learn better than other people, or a particular way that you have a bigger challenge with learning, just be honest about it. I mean, there is no teacher or coach who does not want their student or their athlete to be successful. That's the whole reason why we're here, is for growth. So if they feel like they can help you grow, well, they're probably going to be way more in on that than you'd imagine. And they're also going to be learning as they go. They're going to be learning in general about teaching and coaching and getting to a higher level there. They're also going to be learning about you.